It's my pleasure to welcome a man with over 15,000 first-class runs and 34 hundreds, as well as nearly 550 wickets and 29 fivers. The only thing more remarkable than those numbers is the fact that those fivers have all come since the start of the 2011 season, during which he turned 35. In 2020, he recorded a first-class bowling average of 15.58, his lowest in a year since his maiden season back in 1997, when he took 1 for 5 in 2 overs on county championship debut for Leicestershire. It is, of course, Darren Stevens, County Cricket's Benjamin Button and Wisden Cricketer of the Year.
Benjamin Button, I love that.
Darren, welcome. First question, do you remember that first wicket?
No chance. No, I've got no idea. Who was it? Can you tell me?
I've got it open. Give me 1 second. So I've closed so many tabs to get my internet to work for this.
I bowled for Leicester. Was it against? It might have been against Surrey.
It was Surrey or Sussex. My computer's just started playing.
Yeah, I'd say so. I can remember bowling. We had two days washed out at Surrey, and Vinnie Wells didn't want to use all our main bowlers up because we had a big game coming up the week after. And he basically said I can bowl as many as I like. And I think I bowled 30 overs. From not ever bowling in the game.
Have you always enjoyed bowling then, even sort of before it became a major part of your game, as it were?
Loved it. Always loved it. I was never really given the opportunity at Leicester. To be fair, if you look at the sides I played in there over the years, there was so many, world class all rounders in the side. The likes of Chris Lewis, Phil Simmons, Vince Wells, Darren Maddy. My first year was Gordon Parsons. Great all rounder. David Milnes. It just goes on and on and on. So I was never really going to get the opportunity. Even Phil de Freitas when he came in. So it was only when I came to Kent to get me. It was Keysy sort of stumbled across it, really. I bowled a little bit in white ball cricket. And then he gave me a couple of goes in Championship. And then there was a game up at Lancs where the game was going nowhere really. Last day, they were 6 down, and I was bowling a bit with the old ball. It was due for the new ball, and he said, "Look, do you want to take the new ball?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And I got 4 wickets and an over. And he went, "We might be onto something here with the new ball." And then a couple of games after, he gave me the new ball, and we never looked back.
Yeah, because I guess, would you have bowled with a new ball much in your career up to that point? Because the nets, it wouldn't be the kind of thing that you'd use, would it? It would be sort of like the older balls that you're testing.
When I was at Leicester, Jack Birkinshaw, the coach then, always threw a new ball to me because it was better practice for the senior batters. I.e., it was a newer ball nipping around a little bit, but they'd get. Obviously I wasn't a frontline bowler, so they'd get a lot of bad balls, and it's they're still going to put bad balls away, and but it was a new ball, so it was great. And that's where I learned a lot from all the senior lads, really, because all I do is as a youngster, and I was just badgering them questions and how to do this, how to do that, and I just sort of learned along the way, really.
Yeah, and that Leicester team must have been a great one, sort of make your Stein, because that one of my first pieces actually for what was then All Out Cricket was about that Leicester team in '96 and '98 that won the championships.
Yeah, I think in '96 we won it with just 13 players. Only 13 blokes played the whole championship campaign. Them boys were all in their peak at the time. A few lads were playing for England and close to playing for England, and then a few old boys that had played for England. Phil Simmons obviously had an unbelievable year with the ball. They were just a good side. And then '98 was a little bit different, used more players, but they were a good side. They were, run well by James Whittaker in '96. And '98, he was injured in '98 though. But Jack Birkinshaw, Vince Wells, Phil Simmons. There was a lot of senior lads in that team, and they were at the peak of their cricketing careers.
Yeah, okay. So we've obviously gone right back to the start there. Let's come back to just the present for a second. So 24 years later, you're a a Wisden Cricketer of the Year.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So tell me about the moment that you found out. Was it a surprise?
Surprise! A friend of mine who's a reporter who's a cricket fanatic. He's been here for years and years and years, reporting on the games and players, and really nice guy. And he was ringing me he was talking to me about a book. Actually, he wants to write a book on my career and life, so on. That was quite interesting. And then he was getting that excited. He says, I've got to tell you. And I was like, what's that? He says, oh, you've just been picked as one of the Wisden 5 of the Year. And I'm like, what? He was more excited than I was. I was shocked more than anything, but he was, he was over the moon. And he was like, you just got to keep it quiet. Don't tell anybody. So I was like, okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah. And is that book in the works then?
We're talking about it at the moment. He sent me an email over with all, ideas on the book and what he wants to talk about and what he wants to bring up and all that sort of stuff. So I'm just sort of going over it at the moment with my agent, just to sort of clear up a few things. And then we might do it. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. It's interesting because I was thinking back to the Wisden Almanac launch last year, which felt quite a lot different to this one. And we weren't sure at that point if we'd get any cricket in that summer at all. And obviously, given you only had a 1-year contract extension from Kent before last summer, was there a part of you that kind of worried that your career might have kind of come to an end without
100%. Even though I was, because the last few years, unfortunately, it must be an age thing. I'm not sure how they're thinking about it. All I can remember in my contract meetings is you're too old now and the wickets are flatter and you're not getting as many runs, and so you're not going to be as effective with the ball, and so on and so on. Anyway, it was, I don't know if that spurred me on or not, but I did my job and won his games and got us my wickets and runs, and forced them to give me another contract. But the last 4 or 5 years it's been 1 year sort of rolling contracts. I understand it, except I have a bad injury and I'm a waste in the side really. But fortunately, and fingers crossed, touch wood, I stay fit and do as well as I can for Kent to win games and hopefully a trophy.
Yeah, and did that drive you on kind of last season coming about, sort of like a season that it seemed quite close to this when the season actually started, it might not happen, kind of thing?
Yeah, it was tough. Like I remember walking out of that first game at Essex, and no crowds in there, and Essex is usually a horrid place to go play cricket, whatever format it is. Mm-hmm. The rivalry and the 11 blokes on the pitch, but it's like playing against 4,000 people because whenever they've got people in, they're always on your back, and it's just a real tough place to play. Mm-hmm. But when we were walking out on the pitch and there was nobody, no crowds, you can see literally the odd person, and they're the coaches that are straddled around the place. It was a bit odd and strange. It actually felt like a pre-season game until you got in amongst it, and it was Cookies at the other end and he's grinding it out, and you got someone whistling it around your ear holes, and it's all a little bit different, and your game's back on again. But I think it took a couple of games to sort of get into it, but then when you got into it, it was back onto the job, and it actually goes against your stats, and it's big games to stay up in the championship or get through to the quarterfinal, semi-final, whatever it's going to be. And so it just took a few games to get into that.
Yeah. And you sort of mentioned that sometimes it kind of almost spurred you on, sort of the contract thing. And there was that amazing spell towards the end of 2019 when you hit 88, like a quick 88 against Ashwin and a few others, and took 10 for. And then the next game was a double 105 for. And I think the oldest to do that since WG Grace.
Yeah, I know. I've had that chat and a couple of photos of that already. But I love it. I think it's great. Like I say, it's that year, especially. I was told in June that there was no contract for me at the end of the year, but I was still loving the game. I was fit. I was doing my job. My runs had dried up a little bit, but there was a few little technical things that was going on in my technique, and I couldn't figure it out, and the coaches couldn't put the finger on it. And that batting wise, I went and saw an old coach that I worked with for years, Simon Willis, who was he was a coach at Kent when I first moved down. And it took me a couple of hours hitting balls in the nets, and he picked up a couple of things, and it sort of made sense. So I stuck with it, and the rest of that summer is history. But that really helped me. And then the other thing was like, oh yeah, you're not getting as many wickets. You're playing in the first division this year, and the pitches are going to be flatter, and you're going to struggle to get wickets. And I think I got 5 for every test ground in the country. So it was like, but my job's very simple. I hit the stumps, and hopefully people miss them or nick them.
Is it as simple as you make it sound? Because I mean, sometimes people almost use like bowlers of a certain pace who sort of like bowl at the stumps as like a way to almost do down county cricket in a way. But there's a lot of skill, right? And you must be like working batters out at the same time as just like being top of.
Yeah, look, nowadays with all this technology, you sort of, we sit down and do preparation on every game, every player, all their main batters, even their tail enders now, because, is there such thing as a tail end batter now? Not many in many sides, all of them can hold bats now. So we go through all their batters and bowlers, and, we have game plans for most players. An A game plan, and a B game plan, and a C game plan, if it doesn't come off or certain pitches. And because I've not got any pace, and somebody at my pace who swings the ball, it's if it swings early, you get smacked. So I look to nip the ball, and if I can nip it from 4 feet away, rather than swinging it from 19 yards, 20 yards away, it's a lot harder for the batter to play it from moving later on. So that's all I do. I might throw the odd ball that swings early doors just to sort of put it in the batter's head, but. I use the seam to nip it around certain ways. I get it in and out, and yeah, it's worked. It's worked so far, and hopefully it'll work again this summer.
Yeah, I think one thing that a lot of people are always wondering is just kind of what's your secret, I guess, to especially just staying fit to like all this time. Like even if, as you said yourself, there's not a huge amount of pace that you're still running in sort of for lots of overs a day for lots of days in the summer. Like how do you do it?
Yeah, I think a lot of it will be, I wasn't bowling at 15, 16. I was an opening batsman for the first 5-6 years of my career, and bowled little bits, but not a lot. So I wasn't bowling 15, 20, 30 overs a game. I wasn't bowling any in a game really. So I think that got, I was bowling little bits along the way for the years and years and years, and then it's only been the last 10 years or so that I've been bowling, say 20 overs an innings. But I think my body sort of, I was a lot older. Nowadays they worry about bone condensity and all this sort of stuff for the youngsters, and I think by the time I started bowling 25 overs a day, I think my bones were pretty much sturdy, if not on the other way around. But so yeah, I think that'll have a lot to do with it, not bowling till I was a lot older. What I do rely on is a pint of Guinness after every day's play.
Really? That's the secret.
There's the secret right there. Plenty of iron.
That's amazing. But even just like doing the, like, I mean, I see the we work at the Ovals. I see the Surrey guys going in the gym, and even just doing just that level of gym stuff for that long must be like is it a grind, or do you find that you just enjoy it basically?
It's a grind in the summer. I've admitted it. I really struggled doing the gym stuff in the summer. When you're bowling 25 overs an innings, you look at 35 to 40 overs a game. To go in the gym the day after or the day before. The day before is not so bad, but I don't like that just because I don't know what's going to happen. You might strain a muscle or your back I stay away from all that before game. But in the winter, I really enjoy it. Like the minute I'm in 4 days a week, gym session at 7 a.m. on them 4 days, and then I have a little steady bowling session, and then I go back to the club at 5:45 for an hour and a half bat. So I've actually really enjoyed it. It's been a bit different. It was interesting. I was chatting to a friend of mine yesterday, and he was like, I was moaning about the weather. So where we are down here, we're up on a hill and it just does not stop raining or misty or foggy and he was like, actually, when was the last time you sort of spent February in this country? And it was probably 26 years ago.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, first full winter in the UK in 20 odd years. So there's another answer to your question. How do you keep doing all the prep and stuff? The last 20 odd years I've been over in Cape Town or Australia or New Zealand or Sri Lanka, India, wherever. So I've been very fortunate, and I'm thankful for everything that cricket's given to me. But I've been lucky enough to see a lot of the world through doing something I love doing.
Yeah. So obviously you're an all-rounder, and people know you now most these days, I guess, as more of a bowler. But it was sort of with the bat that you sort of played for the England Lions around the turn of the last decade, I guess. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Did you obviously that was when England had a very strong team, especially in Test cricket. Did you wonder if sort of in another era you sort of might have flourished and might have won a call up, or did you not really think like that?
I'll look back at it, and I'll always look back at it thinking I wish I'd have played for my country. And I reckon at the time I probably wasn't getting enough runs. There was that period in 2009 though, where first 4 Champo games of the year I got 100 in each game, and that's why I got picked we played a tri-series against India and the West Indies. And that was, I love that. And I think I averaged 80 with a bat, and I didn't do as well with a ball. But we had an unbelievable side. Everybody that played in that game or that tournament with me, or I played with them, I reckon every one of them would have played over 50 times for England. Yeah, every one of them, I reckon, except for Gale from Yorkshire. But everybody else had played in it. Cookie played in it. Ravi, Belly was playing. Trotty was playing. James Treadwell. Plunkett, we had an unbelievable side. We won the comp. But yeah, I think that was probably my last and only chance then. I had a great tournament, averaged 8 with a bat. Got 70 odd not out in the final against India, but never got picked. It's just one of those things. I think I look at it and I'll always be gutted and disappointed for not getting picked, but there's got to be reasons why I didn't get picked.
Do you like to think you would have been good enough?
You don't know. I'd like to think so. I played against all the best players in the world in different comps around the world, and I've done well enough. The years I did really well for Kent, we played against they had all overseas that were the best in the world at the time, and I held my own. But look. Who knows?
Yeah.
Next life.
Yeah. So I think one thing I was kind of wondering is, see, 97 was, that was the one divisional county championship. It was, before T20. What would you say is the biggest way that county cricket has changed from then until now?
I think these, a lot of people probably disagree, but I think these 2 divisions is not. I think it had a positive for a short period, but I think that from when it changed to when it changed again last year, but and it's changed again this year. I just think the 2 divisions was, they say about second division was really poor, first division was the best, but I look at it as you had 2 completely different divisions. You had a division where the top division where you started off with all the test sides in, and it was like flat pitches, good pitches. And then in the second division, you had teams that wanted to get out of that division to get in the first division. So it's like, how do you do that? Right, we'll prepare pitches how we want to play cricket. So 99% of the time you'd rock up and it'd be a raging green. And in how I oversaw it all was I saw the first division being an offside game because it's more of a patience game, because they're better pitches, flatter pitches, and a lot of the test grounds. And I saw the second division was basically, we need to get out of this division, we've got to bowl at the stump. So you bowl a lot of struggle. So it became a leg side game. And that's how I looked at it, really. When people asked me, it's first division to me was an offside game, and second division became a leg side game. And that, I think that's the disappointment, because you ended up getting rid of, at the time we probably had three quality outstanding bowlers in each side, and then it became everybody moved, the first division and signed more players because they had more money, and they'd take all the best players from the second division, and all of a sudden the second division became like a development division, where you'd probably only have two decent bowlers, and they were probably the old boys that were just finishing, or the good youngsters coming through. But then in time, the first division boys just snapped them up. Yeah. So it's, it was positive because I suppose at the time we needed to change, but I thought it was a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, and do you like the structure for this season then, where kind of every team has a chance to win it, so there might not be quite so much short-term thinking, or?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie here, I've not actually looked at the structure for the summer. It's a little bit early for me. Usually around February time I'll have a little look, but I'm not like, that's true. But if it, going on last year, I thought last year was outstanding. I think they could have had a semi-final. I think would have been really nice. But it was all squeezed in, and it was all rushed, and we're just grateful that we got some sort of cricket in. And it's been a tough year for everyone, really. But look, we're just grateful we got cricket in, and I actually really like the format that we played.
And is that the biggest change in your career, do you think, the two division thing, or is there like sort of an attitude shift that you've seen from the younger players, or what is that the biggest change?
I'd say that's the biggest change, yeah.
Right, okay, yeah. And is it a more professional game now than it was at the start?
Buying chips at lunchtime.
Is that really what it was like?
Man, I'm not that old. Nah, it was. I remember Chris Lewis's first game for us. Yeah. And he rocked up and he came into the change rooms and he goes, right, where can I get some food from? And this was before the game. This was before. No, we were going into lunch, I remember. And he goes, where can I get some other food from? I said, well, the meat's open. It's the old building on the corner. I said, the meat's open. You get food from in there. He goes, right, come on, let's go. So I'm like, okay. So we wander over and he goes in and he has a big slab of cake and then gammon, eggs and chips. So takes them off, eats his cake first, eats his cake up first, and then polishes his egg, ham and chips up with a cup of tea. That's old school. That's proper old. Yeah. But, look, yeah, it's changed massively now. Like, we go into the dining room now and there's not an ounce of fat on anything, or there's no goodies, there's no desserts at the end. It's but that's the way the game's gone, and it's very professional now. It has been professional for years, but everything's changed. The fitness, the standards in the fitness, and all that sort of stuff. I remember Fieldy Freitas and Dev and Malcolm rocking up for the first year. They played together at Leicester, and I said to Dev, I was like, "Oh, what have you been doing? How's the fitness been going, mate?" He goes, "What fitness, man? What fitness?" I said, "Surely you've been doing something." He says, "Oh, I've been sitting on my row at home." And I'm like, "That's all you've done?" He went, "Yeah." "My fitness is here," he says. "I bowl and bowl and bowl and bowl." And they did, Daffy and Dev were exactly the same. All they did was bowl and bowl and bowl and bowl and bowl in pre-season. That was it. They hardly did any fitness in the winter, a little bit of gym stuff just to tick boxes, but nothing. And it became, when the crunch came, we got a ball in and they did not stop bowling, and that was how they got fit. That's changed a lot. Now I remember getting pulled out last year by one of the fitness guy who was taking notes at the back. you can only bowl X amount of overs. He came up to me and said, right, Steve, you bowled you 4 overs. I'm like, what do you mean I bowled my 4? He says you can't bowl anymore. The physio said you can't bowl anymore. I'm like, no, mate, I'll bowl when I'll finish when I'm finished. But it's all quota now. You can't bowl X amount of overs because it's putting strain on your body, and that's crazy in my eyes. But they're the hierarchy, aren't they? You have to do what they say.
Yeah, and I mean, you say it's a more modern game, but I don't know if you saw the reports coming out of Australia that Justin Langer had to stop one of the players from taking a toasted sandwich out onto the field. They were going to put it in their pocket, and he was like, "It's a test match against India. You can't have a toasted sandwich." So you
can't have it. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I suppose that's in the eyes because he's Mr. He's always he's like it's Mr. Professional now. He's probably more professional than most of the senior lads now, with eating and his diets and stuff like that. But that's a bit harsh, isn't it? When he's probably bowled 20 overs in the day. He's probably done 5,000 calories.
Yeah,
he's got to get them back on somehow. Mad.
Yeah. So, how does the current Kent side rank alongside some of the others that you've played with? It seems like a pretty good group in terms of the sort of experienced players. You've got likes of Jordan Cox and Matt Milnes coming through. Is it a good team? Do you think? Is it going places?
I'm impressed. The 2 guys that you said there, had great years last year. Well, Matt had two phenomenal years with the ball. And I think it's just on the quiet. I think there's a few runs for him this summer as well. I think he shapes up really well with a bat, but he's worked really hard on his batting this winter. But I think he'll get some runs as well this year. And Jordan Cox, I speak to him quite a lot. He's over in Australia. One thing with him was we were really worried about his weight, and he couldn't keep weight on. His diet wasn't great, but I spoke to him the other day, and he's put like 10 Ks on. He looks really well. He looks like he's filled out and matured, and sort of I think the trip over to Australia has sort of turned him into a man. Hopefully, he was a young boy that was talented, but he's kicked on. But look at us. Yeah, like you say, look at our side. We've got some outstanding players. A lot of senior players in there as well that are really good players and good blokes. And then, obviously Zach Crawley is outstanding. He's kicked on. He kicked on quicker than I thought. He's always ahead of his time. He's one of those special players. Like a Cook and a Bell and Strauss and all these boys that were really good at a young age, and they sort of figured it out at a young age. I think he'll excel in all forms. I think it won't be long before he's playing in white ball cricket as well. But I could run through all the bowlers there. Podmore, he's learnt so much over the last 3 years at Kent. He learnt a lot off Matt Henry when he was over. Young Robinson, Ollie Robb, I think he's probably our most technically correct player at the club. I think if he doesn't take the gloves, I think he bats in our top 4. We've got, like you see, we've got so many good players with the captain. Hopefully we get Sam back quite a lot this year. Last few years, we've not really had him much. So hopefully he's around a bit more.
Yeah, and I mean, you sort of mentioned it would be nice to have a semi-final in the Bob Trophy last time, and I don't know if that's just because Kent would have made it through to the semis. But do you think this year could be the year?
Look, I can't see why not. A lot of people were writing us off last year. We're not a bowling unit that will blow people away, but we're a patient bowling unit, and I think and that's what first class cricket is. It's a patience game, I think we've got that. We've got wicket takers. We've got bowlers that just plod on and do a job, for the whole game and pick up wickets at the end. Everybody understands each other's roles. If it's my day, then the boys will bowl for me. If it's somebody else's day, I'll bowl for them, and the others will bowl. It's just we've got a nice click going.
Yeah, okay.
But I think, we've got a good chance.
Yeah, and then just looking at 2021, I guess from a personal point of view, is there anything that you are still sort of? I mean, I know you said 2 years ago you sort of had a bit of a technical tweak to your batting. Are you still sort of working and tinkering, or do you kind of feel that like you know what you need to do, you kind of rock up and do it, and then do it the next game?
No, the game moves so quickly. I'm just trying to keep up with the game, trying to keep up with these young pups. If I don't try and progress and better my game, then I'm just going to be left behind. And that's why I play the game. I play it because it's an amazing game, and I love everything about it. The training, the way the game moves so quickly. I love 2020, and I've been gutted for the last 2 years that I've not played, and I keep putting the coaches and the captains under the pump. I train with all the boys. I'm working hard on my reverse sweeps at the minute. I'm doing all sorts just to, I'm trying to get as fit as I can. I lost 8 Ks last year. I want to lose another 8 this year. All these little things that hopefully will, for a start, keep me on the pot and take wickets and get runs. But also I want to get back in that 2020 side.
Yeah, okay. And is that the plan, basically, just to keep playing for as long as Kent will have you and as long as you can go for, basically?
Well, I'll keep playing until I'm not doing my job. And obviously the body's a big thing. If the body holds together, then and like I said, I'm still getting my wickets and still getting my runs, winning games for Kent. That's all I want to do. And the other thing is, with the experience that I have, I feel that I've got a lot to give the lads. When I'm playing, it's the best place to not coach, but help these boys progress. And if they get in sticky situations, a lot of the situations that you get stuck in, I've been in and been through myself. So it's great. I love batting with these young lads in the middle or standing at mid-off when somebody might be struggling with a ball or getting a bit impatient, or you know what I mean. It's there's not many better places to help coach players along their way.
Yeah, and kind of tweaked from when you were talking about Jordan Cox and the fact that he's on the phone to you. You clearly sort of have quite a senior role in that dressing room. Is that something you see going whenever after cricket is? Do you think you'll sort of take that on in a more formal capacity as a coach? Do you think?
I would love to. Yeah, I've done my level 3. There's talks about me doing my level 4, but I'm not at the minute. I don't think I need to do it. Well, look, it's always good to have it, but at the moment, I'm not 100%. I want to go into coaching, i.e. the long-term thing. But I think as I finish the game, I think I've got a lot of knowledge and that I'd like to get across. And I feel that I've been doing that over the years anyway. But I feel it'd be a bit of a waste if I don't help out or go into any sort of formal coaching afterwards. But that'd be the plan. I've been doing a lot of coaching abroad. I spent 2 years coaching with Gary Kirsten. That was amazing. And I was very fortunate to have Adi Birrell, who's the Hampshire coach, one side of me, Gary Kirsten on the other side of me for 3 months, 4 hours a day. It was great and amazing. And I did that for a couple of years. So, and I've been doing little bits here and there around Kent that I really enjoyed. And obviously, when I'm at the ground training, I try and help out with the players.
Yeah. And final thing, thanks so much for your time. You obviously mentioned trying to get back into the Kent T20 side. It's the first season of the 100 this year. Could we see Darren Stevens in the 100? And what do you make of that? Do you think it's going to be the big thing in county cricket, I guess?
Who knows? I suppose I look back at when 2020 had first started here, and I played that first year it started. And I had I was playing before I started playing for Kent, for Leicester. Sorry, I was playing 2020 in the week, and I had been for 2 or 3 years, for my local team, and I was loving it. I loved 2020 back then, and when they brought it into county cricket, I was just in my element. I thrived on it. I'd been playing it for 3 years, so I had a bit of an advantage, but. Yeah, look, I love it. I love the, it was tough for the boys last year with no crowds in, but that's the best thing about it, the entertainment. Entertaining the crowd, and that's what that format is for me. It's obviously you're winning the games, but it's the entertaining, the fun aspect of it, how electric it is, and it's amazing, and I love it. And I love, I get so frustrated when I'm not even involved, but then I get to training and I'm like full on trying to do my best, and I'm still doing my range hitting and trying to hit it out of the ground, and I'm still trying to get my Yorkers in and my slide balls, and I'm doing it all because I feel that if I'm still playing the game while I'm not, I'm a professional cricketer, I'm not paid to sit on my bum watching a game of cricket. If I've got it in me, I'm still playing while I should be playing every game. They've been on my case about resting for years, and I'm like, well, I don't do rest. If I rest, then my body, as you do, your body seizes up and you get a bit sore. But if I'm going, that first month's hard, but as soon as you get through that first month, the season's just your body's numb, and you just get through and you find a way. So having a month off in the middle, it's a tough time mentally, bodily tough, and mentally as well.
Cool. Well,
give me in that 2020 side.
Yeah. Thanks so much for your time, and fingers crossed for the season and for the T20 Blast. Hopefully.
Come on.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Ben. Thank you very much.
No, cheers. Thanks so much for your time. Thank you.
And thanks for letting me know about the Wisden Cricketer.
Well, don't tell anyone if you could.
I won't say anything, I swear.
Cool.
I'm not done.
Cheers. Thanks very much.